Young Junk!
Hey, welcome to the Micheaux Mission. 2 men, 1 podcast. Every black film ever made. My name is Len, a.k.a. the Bat Tribble. And as always, I am joined by my partner.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams.
Tonight, we are once again in a military state of mind.
We are.
Last week, we reviewed Tyler Perry's The 688. This week, we're reviewing another World War II based film from another renowned director. It is Spike Lee with Miracle at St. Anna. Vincent's selection for this stop on the Micheaux Mission, which streams live from Young Chunk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace, to Instagram, to Facebook, and we are streaming live to YouTube. To each and every one of you in the chat line, hello, missionaries.
Good evening, one and all.
Vincent, how are you doing, my friend?
Well, like all of us here in the Northeast, I am cold.
Oh, boy.
I am cold.
The brick is out, my
Look,
friend.
every morning for the past couple of days, I look at my phone to look at the temperature, and I wonder if my phone is broken. Like, this can't possibly be a real number.
Yes, and it is a single-digit number.
Yes, it is.
If you're looking in the morning.
Yes, it
that is. Very
is.
true. This weekend, I had some homemade stew, stew with smoked turkey.
Very nice.
And some rice and potatoes and black beans, and it was so delicious.
It's what you got to eat now. I got some beans and rice and smoked turkey waiting for me after the show.
All right, well then let's get to it, my friend. I do not want to keep you.
And how are you?
I am very fine.
Oh,
I am doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for asking.
Hey, man.
All right, let's get to the show because we've got a thick show for you.
All right.
We're going to start with emails, or as we like to call them,
missives from the missionaries.
So what else is going on, Lynn?
we have emails, Vincent.
Ooh, missives from the missionaries. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, missives from the missionaries.
Missives from the missionaries. Vincent, we have a twofer, 2 emails from Michael Kettner.
Hey, what's up, Michael?
Hey there, Len and Vincent. Just writing to say that for once, Vincent is wrong. Dun, dun, dun.
For once, I'm wrong a lot.
The only way Ebony Obsidian's name, the star from the 688,
Yes.
the only way Ebony Obsidian's name could be blacker
Okay.
is not if it were Ebony Leroy Washington Obsidian,
It's a pretty black name now.
but rather if it were Ebony Onyx Obsidian. Love the show. Keep up the good work. Yours and celluloid, Michael Kettner, or Miguel Kettner.
Yeah, but she might be a crystal gem like Ebony Onyx. Like she's hanging out with Steven Universe.
Very true. Very true. Second email from Micheaux
Okay.
of Krypton, Miguel Kettner. Greetings, Len and Vincent. Just writing to say, Len. Oh, this one's for me.
This one's for you. Okay.
Oh, I like that. One for you.
One for me, one for you. I like that. Very
Keep it
nice.
coming, Miguel.
Yeah.
Just trying to say, Len, don't feel bad about having a Batman cocktail recipe book. I bought my Wonder Woman loving bestie a Wonder Woman cookbook that included recipes like the Mango Lassie of Truth, as well as a stencil for putting the Wonder Woman logo on food items.
Okay.
Yours is celluloid, Miguel Kettner. Thank you, Miguel. I appreciate that.
Very nice. I wonder if that Wonder Woman cookbook has a recipe for like a baked chicken where you wrap the chicken up really, really tight in some baking twine. That's a deep cut comic joke. Those that got it, got it.
That's a very, very, very deep cut.
And I'll give you a lie detector test to see whether or not you actually did it.
Whether or not I actually did it?
You tied it in the 20. You remember? You know?
No, I know.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, we got another email. This is from Miss Monica Brooks.
Hey, what's up, Monica?
From Oakland, California.
All right.
The subject lines are notes from a temp in the corrections department.
What we mess up?
Greetings. I hope that this note finds you gearing up for a dope 2025. I was listening to your podcast and your wonderful top 5 list. I wanted to mention that Grover Washington Jr. was born and raised in Buffalo, New York. As someone born and raised in Buffalo, and knowing we have not only Rick James as well as the 90s group Joe Public, we have to preserve the greats that we have. Well, if you're going from Rick James to Joe Public, I'm with you, Monica. I'm with you. So you hold on to Grover Washington.
And I want you to write us back and actually tell us about Buffalo, because the only thing I know about Buffalo is from Rick James. And Rick James said that Buffalo was the Tijuana of the North, which was so specific that I'm both frightened and drawn to Buffalo. Like,
yeah.
And I can appreciate that, because sitting here in Philadelphia, you Philadelphians oftentimes want to claim Billie Holiday. And Billie Holiday is a Baltimore claim.
Yeah, she is. She is.
So you about to say something crazy?
I'm not about to say anything crazy. I don't think, in regards to Billie Holiday,
yes,
I don't think we claim Billie Holiday as she is ours. We just recognize that she had a significant part of her life here. As far as I can concerned, or as far as I know, I don't see people caping like, Billie Holiday. No, she's a Philadelphian first. Like, no, I don't think that. I don't think that.
I've heard some.
You've heard that? Okay.
Like y'all are just greedy.
I don't think we're greedy.
Like, there's so many things you can justifiably claim from Philly.
Okay.
Including up until this moment, Grover Washington Jr.
Well, no. Listen, don't let Monica fool you.
See? Go ahead.
He was.
Go ahead.
He was born in Buffalo.
But
he became Grover.
Washington here
Jr.
in Philadelphia. See, that's
okay. All right, the man claimed Philadelphia.
Marcus, do you have to have all the girls?
I'm going to continue.
Please do.
Anyway, Monica says, I always love your tie-ins with music, so I loved your conversation about Arsenio Hall. I wanted to ask, which 3 songs from the 90s, R&B or hip-hop, would you use if you wanted to define the decade? Have a wonderful day.
Oh, my goodness.
Monica L. Brooks. Well, okay. The first one that comes to my mind is, was it actually the name of the song? New Jack Swing? I know that's the name of the genre.
Right.
But wasn't there a song that it's the
There was New Jack Swing, but I think what you probably would choose is Groove Me.
You know what? You're right. Groove Me by Guy.
Groove Me.
Yeah, by Guy. That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, that's R&B. Is there a hip hop? 90s. You're the hip hop head.
Just one song from the 90s.
One song from the 90s. 90s. So 90s hip hop.
It was very multifaceted. Because you could say Me, Myself, and I. You could say Fight the Power. You could say...
But that's very much like early 90s, isn't it? Like mid 90s?
Yeah, well, the 90s, I mean...
Okay, well, okay.
10 years.
All right, true.
You know, you could say... I mean, quite honestly, you do Players Anthem, you move towards the end of the 90s, and Biggie comes in, you know, some from NWA. Like, I don't know if I could pick one hip-hop song.
Yeah.
But I'll see Groove Me and add Back to Life by Soul to Soul.
Back to Life by Soul to Soul. That's a good one. Fight the Power is 1989. I thought so. So that's not 90s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't think.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Because I was thinking
right, of course.
90s.
Right, class
I was
of
thinking
89.
90s.
Yeah.
You're probably getting into. You're getting into Pac, Biggie, and towards the end you've got Jay-Z cresting.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking.
Right.
I was thinking you probably do something. It probably is something from Pac, but I mean, is it Dear Mama?
I mean, maybe.
Or is it Dear Mama? Or is it Juicy by Biggie?
I think you got to pull something from that. Yeah.
Even though my favorite Biggie track is
Warning.
No, Party and Bullshit. I like Party and Bullshit, but I would probably say Juicy probably feels more 90s vibe because it's got the R&B kind of like, the remix got that, the Mtume.
And then like Unbelievable.
Unbelievable is good.
The premier track is what that gets me into trouble because I always talk. Well, I won't say that. I'm not going to do any Gangstar sacrilege. It took years for that to die down.
Gangstar sacrilege? You don't like Gangstar?
Come on, Lynn, stop. Keep moving.
No, you put it out there.
We've talked about this. I think they're highly overrated. Like I think Premier
Premier
carries Guru on his back.
Okay, so Premier's not overrated. You think Guru's overrated?
Yes. Rest in peace.
Okay, I can actually.
All right.
I can actually ride with that. Right. To a degree. All right, let's continue. We've got another email. This is from Corey P.
What's up, Corey?
Good afternoon, Len, Vincent, and missionaries. I first want to say the Mother May I episodes, especially the older ones, are the funniest episodes. We talk about Belly being the funniest episode on the Micheaux mission so far, but I have to give it to the Soul Plane and State Property episodes. Really, the Soul Plane episode. I don't know which was funnier. Vincent saying, "This piece of sugar honey iced tea," inserts the bleeping noise when using vulgar language, or Len reading Snoop's credentials as a pilot who was afraid of heights. The movie was that bad, Vincent didn't even take notes, ladies and gentlemen.
It's true.
I listened to that episode and tears were rolling down my eyes. I almost couldn't breathe. Can we also talk about Len's impersonation of Kevin Hart? Man, oh man, what an episode. I hope you all have a good week. I had to say that. Well, I don't remember.
I was about to say, I have to listen to it.
Now I've got to
remember it.
Now I've got to listen to that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't remember doing Kevin Hart. That's a good one. Thank you, Corey. All right. We got another email from Nicole Sherman.
Hey, what's up, Nicole?
Good afternoon, Len, Vincent, missionaries. Hope all is well. I encourage everyone to go see and take your kids or family members with you to see the new film, One of Them Days with Keke Palmer and SZA.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, let me tell you. Here in Philadelphia, it's mad cold, but we had a winter storm warning for, what was it, Saturday going into Sunday.
We did.
Saying that it was going to be like 5 inches of snow.
And it was tough. We got snow.
We got snow, but we didn't get near the 5 inches.
Right.
But because of that, I spent a lot of my time Saturday getting prepared for the snow.
Okay.
Which meant that I ultimately had to make a decision, and I didn't go see One of Them Days, which I had planned to do all that weekend. And I'm glad that it was successful. I think it was like it ended up being the #2 film for the weekend.
Yeah.
But just barely.
Yeah.
So it made more than people expected it to make.
Considering the budget that it had.
It's like a $10 million budget. It made $15 million plus.
Absolutely.
So it's a huge success for this film for producer Issa Rae and Keke Palmer and SZA. The reviews of the film are phenomenal. We actually got a review coming up in one of the emails. So if you haven't go to see this film yet, please go check this out. I've heard it is drop dead funny. I really
heard nothing but good things.
Yeah. I know that you guys, I'm going to skip ahead. I know you got from Nicole's email. I know you guys talked about John Singleton's Higher Learning and Boys in the Hood.
Yes.
I also agree with Vincent and our letter writer, Michael, about Higher Learning being the better film out of the two. Higher Learning has aged the best, whether we're talking about Michael Rappaport's character or the experience of going to a predominantly white institution. 30 years later, we're still dealing with those issues. A few years ago, there was an episode on the Black film canon. There were some good films listed, like Do the Right Thing, Hollywood Shuffle, and Waiting to Exhale, but one movie I would replace is Boys in the Hood. I remember the person doing the episode saying Menace to Society doesn't hold up, and I disagree. I think it's safe to say that Menace will continue to age more gracefully than Boys in the Hood. Violence aside, Menace is a great movie. I like Boys in the Hood, and it's solid, but Menace pushed the envelope more, being the anti-Boys in the Hood. It's going to be an interesting conversation when the two of you review it, not getting ahead of myself. Side note, I did not like Tyra Farrell in this movie or how she was portrayed. Sorry for the long email, but I had to get that off my chest. Your fan, Nicole Sherman.
Hey, Nicole. Yeah, Tyra Farrell is real tough in Boys in the Hood.
Yeah.
You know, I think Boys, it's funny. There's a moment in How to Be a Menace where the main character, played by Sean, is dropped off at his father's house. And it's not Angela Bassett. I forget who plays his mother, but the character says, you know, you have to go live with your father now. And he's like, well, you know, am I going to see you anymore? And she says, oh no, this is a hood film. There can't be any good black female characters in it. And I remember Tyra Farrell being especially awful in Boys in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood. Yeah. We got an email from Michael Lockett.
Hey, Michael.
What's up, my brothers? Len and Vince, you guys are really growing. Since I time travel so much, I really get to hear the style mature without losing a single drop of the fun and earnestness. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
The same cannot be said for the 688. When I first saw the trailer for this and the subject, I was excited. I got mad nervous when I saw Black America's favorite director attached. Watching the flick, I was struck by a few things. One, this film looks good. The lighting and cinematography are top notch. It looks like it had the budget that it did. Two, this is an amazing untold story.
It is.
This country would be so much better off and proud if we told all these stories. It only makes us more impressive as a country when we allow ourselves to mature. Three, you can give Tyler Perry all the money and stellar actors available, and he will still find a way to hold onto his own personal tropes and give us elements that aren't necessary and waste time. The Black and Jewish American love story could have been its own film. Charity was not supposed to be such a focus based on what I read, but if you got Kerry Washington, you are using Kerry Washington, especially if she found the money for this. Your description of Tyler being afraid to trust his swimming abilities is spot on. On my time travels, I landed first with you two on Devil in a Blue Dress. This movie may be the best Black American noir movie ever made so far. On one hand, yes, I don't know many Black people then or now who would not know Jennifer Beals was passing. That said, I know sometimes even we get caught up in the American spin machine and start questioning our own eyes. How many of us know Alondre Dumas, Carol Channing, or Pushkin are Black? With the money both Denzel and Don Cheadle have made and the sway they have in Hollywood, I think they could easily do a sequel or a limited series reprising these roles in the 1970s.
It's my dream.
Finally, I took another time travel and landed with you two as you critiqued Hollywood Shuffle. This is a must-see, if only for the fact that the secret gatekeeping in Hollywood is exposed. Len's point of Shuffle not going for the juggler, I think, doesn't put enough weight on Townsend still having to play the game of getting this distributed. White folks hate being called to the mat over this stuff. Even in a satire, you still have to make it, get it distributed, etc. I think Hollywood Shuffle set the stage for exposing business racism in films like Sorry to Bother You. Do you, too, think black creators are doing a better job now or in the past of pulling the curtain back on systemic racism? All the best, Michael Lockett. What do you think, Vincent? You think they are doing a better job now or in the past pulling back that curtain?
I don't know if they're doing a better job of exposing it. Like, I was just scrolling very quickly through my head of films that have, directly addressed racism in Hollywood and certainly the structure of it. But the thing that I enjoy so much about creators over the past decade, appropriately enough, is we're talking about One of Those Days, produced by Issa Rae, and written, I forget the sister's name that wrote it, but this sort of black cohort that put it together. I think there are so many creators that ironically are following Tyler Perry's path. Like, I'm not even dealing with this. Like, I'm just going to make my own thing.
Tell the stories that I want to tell.
I'm just going to tell the stories, and I'm not even going to acknowledge you, which, frankly, I think, and we'll talk, appropriately enough, we'll talk about this a little bit tonight, I think is the way to go.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think that where we are as far as media and outlets for some of this work allows for that. Right. Allows for these black creatives to finally just be creatives first and not black creatives. Right. And then just tell the stories that they want to tell.
No, I'm a black creative and I'm making this stuff for this audience, and I'm not even. All right, I'll put a pin in that because this really does go into my review of Miracle at St. Anna. But I do think you got to ignore a lot of this stuff. Like it gets to, like, I understand something like Hollywood Shuffle, which is 1980 whatever, like that, this sort of frustration at this moment. And the frustration is born out of, I want things to change, whether we're changing people's minds or changing. But it's 2025. Look, anybody's mind that's going to change has changed. And this is energy that could be better spent making these uniquely black stories aimed towards this black audience. Figuring out a way to get it out there. Once again, like we were talking about with Arsenio Hall, everybody is welcome to watch it or not.
Right.
But I'm not even addressing that anymore.
Yeah.
So
and that's what I mean by not having to be, this black creative and worrying about what stance or how I'm presenting. Just telling being free to just tell the story.
Right. So when you say I'm a black creator, it's almost contextually you're in a white space.
Right.
Like, I got to be the black creator in this white space.
Right.
As opposed to I'm just creating what I create. Right. Which again is something that I've always given the utmost credit to Tyler Perry for.
Yeah. First and foremost. Give him props for that. All right, we got an email from Maurice Poplar, a.k.a. Ashy Feet.
Yeah.
What's up, fellas? Happy Martin Luther King Day.
Right on.
For MLK Day, I decided to go to the movies. One of them days was on point. A good, fun West Coast banger, a buddy comedy set in the hood, channeling the 1995 film Friday in a modern, refreshing way. Best of all, starring SZA and Keke Palmer. It helped me give voice to some problems with the 6888 review.
Okay.
All the women in my life are glowing about that film. And for all of the technical nitpicking, how many films do we have where women get to have the stage and just live, love, and thrive? The same way y'all give a pass to After Earth because there's something important there about black fatherhood. The same way Get Out has a nerfed ending, people gotta live, man. Black women just wanna live. 6888 is a Christmas film. It's an ensemble of women, and it pays homage to black women 100 years ago who, similar to today, are often overlooked. The streets are talking, and if I were to translate for the mission, black women are so neglected for depth of character on the screen. This is possibly the best black woman film of 2024. And if you look back, these type of stories are few and far between. Name 5 in the last 25 years. Set It Off, Waiting to Exhale, the OG Color Purple are off the table. 6888 isn't the film of the year, but some of your audience, some of the women you love in your life might really enjoy it. And if you haven't, y'all should see Just One of Them Days, possibly the start of a golden era of black women in film, possibly the last throes of the last period. Let's keep the mission going. Mo P.
Heard. I look. I agree. I do. I mean, I know there's women in my life that do love the film. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And at the end of the day, thank you, Mo, for your email.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sit and defend our review. That was your thoughts, and we appreciate it. Hey, we got one last email.
Okay.
This is from Shonda Williams.
Hey, what's up, Shonda?
Excuse me. A fan on a mission for Black History Month. Greetings, Len and Vincent. I am a high school academic coach and an avid listener of your podcast.
Oh, thank you.
And I wanted to take a moment to let you know how much I admire your work.
Oh, thank you.
Your commitment to honoring the legacy of Oscar Micheaux and preserving the history of black cinema is truly inspiring. The way you bring attention to groundbreaking filmmakers and films that have shaped the culture is both educational and empowering. Given your expertise and passion for black cinema, I would love to ask for your help in curating a list of films that you believe young people should watch. Films that can educate, inspire, and provoke important conversations about black culture and history. Your insight would be invaluable in ensuring that the films we select have the greatest impact on our students. All the best, Shonda Williams.
Oh, my goodness.
Woo!
All right.
That is a task.
It is a task. Is this like an offline like we should email her? Like get together?
I mean, I think we definitely should put
Sure,
together a
shoot
list. But we could shoot a little bit, like anything that comes to your mind right off the top of your...
You know I'm teaching a film course.
I know.
This is about to say Professor Webb is supposed to come in.
Yeah. He's not giving me my date yet.
Just think about my own syllabus within our gates.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I started with Within Our Gates. We're actually in the midst of watching Cabin in the Sky. I don't know if I'd put that on there.
I don't know if I would put Cabin in the Sky.
Take your choice of the Sidney Poitier movies. I'm doing In the Heat of the Night, but I think
In the Heat of the Night is a good one.
You know, but To Serve with Love I think works really well with young people. It's about a teacher. I mean, you know,
it is about a teacher. I guess I'm thinking that young people today maybe being a little bit more cynical. That might like not really get some of it.
You know, I don't know. You know, high school you got to watch, but I'm doing Claudine. Is it? Yeah, you know, Claudine gets a little. See, it's the high school student part.
See, I would go Cooley High.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Is there any nudity? You know, I'm trying.
There's a little bit of nudity.
Trying to keep it breast free.
I think there may be a flash.
It might be a nipple in Cooley High.
Maybe a nipple. Is that,
Might be.
is that a nipple?
Is that a nipple? This is my lip. Is my lip drooling? Right.
Okay, so I was actually thinking of Nothing But a Man.
It's kind of a deep cut when you don't have a big list. See, that's the problem with the deep cut. Like, you only got like 5 or 6 movies that can be on there.
Okay. So then do you do
The Learning Tree or Sounder. Either or.
Ooh, boy, how do you choose? There's a part of me that wants to go learning tree.
I like the learning tree better.
I would think the learning tree.
Yeah.
I'll go to learning tree. And then
if you are a tenured teacher and it's hard to fire you and you're in the union, I would do Just Another Girl on the IRT. Because these are high school students, and I think high school students should watch that movie. But if you're just starting out teaching, maybe because you might get some parents call about that one.
But what's the Tiana Taylor movie that we just reviewed?
Oh, 1001.
1001. I think 1001.
Yeah, but see, now you're just doing modern. See, I was trying to.
Okay, but I think that is a good enough a film. Yeah. I think it's worthy of it, and I think it's one that they could really, really relate.
Relate to. You can dig into that.
Really dig into that one. More than just another, because the IRT, you might get lost in like the fashions and
it just happened, so I know we're not like the shine's still on it. But I think Black Panther would work really well in a classroom.
Black Panther is good. Mm-hmm. The first one, yeah.
Yeah, I think Black Panther would work really well.
Black Panther's a good one. There's more than a few. We'll have to sit and think about this. I see people in the chat shouting out. Ron Covington has put out Cornbread Earl and Me.
Cornbread Earl and Me? Cornbread Earl.
You know, I've never seen Cornbread Earl and Me.
How have you never seen Cornbread Earl and Me?
Easily. I've never watched it.
We're going to have to rectify that.
You know, there's a whole lot of rectifying both ways we got to do.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my goodness.
But
thank you for that email.
Yeah, thank you, Shonda.
We will. Yeah, thank you, Shonda. We'll be in touch.
Most definitely.
Give us a deadline and a number. Shonda, give us a deadline. When do you need the list, and how many movies should be on the list?
Yes.
And what is your high school nipple rule?
Yeah, you know, that's true because Cooley High is a good one.
I say all the time, I do college because I couldn't work the
politics of that.
Right, I admire high school teachers so much.
Yeah,
because I don't know if I could navigate that minefield.
Yeah.
My mouth is much too slick. I talk crazy all the time.
You ain't saying nothing to me. I know.
Right. So
trust me, I know. Slick talker. All right. Thank you for all your emails.
Yes. Yeah.
If you want to have your emails read here live on air, you can feel free to email us and see what happens at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's MICHEAUXMISSION@gmail.com. All right. I think we still got time to get into the top five.
Top five. Who's your top five? My top five is. My top five is. My top five is. My top five is.
Top five. Excuse me. Where I come up with a list and Vincent shares his scintillating commentary about the list with all of us in real time. This has not been pre-planned.
It's not pre-recorded.
Vincent has no idea of what I'm about to say.
Zero. Finding out when y'all find out.
Which is usually results in...
It's where the magic happens.
Some call it magic. Some call it premeditated murder. Keeping it in theme, we're going to be reviewing Miracle at St. Anna tonight.
Okay.
The World War II film by Spike Lee, directed by Spike Lee, written by James McBride.
Yes.
Based on a novel of the same name.
Yes.
By James
McBride, yes.
We are going to talk about, Vincent, the top five forgotten or maybe overlooked Black War movies.
Okay.
There are some that immediately come to people's mind when they think about blacks in the military on film. You think about Glory.
Sure.
Think about A Soldier Story.
Right, with the in my mind, the pinnacle. Like nothing's ever been better than A Soldier Story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are some other films
Okay.
that, for one reason or another, have maybe not gotten their just due, or maybe they've gotten their just due.
Okay.
We'll see. Starting with number 5, and you see where you land on these. I'm curious of how many of these you actually have seen, Vincent.
Okay.
Starting at number 5, we have from 2000, a film directed by George Tillman Jr., starring Robert De Niro and Cuba Gooding Jr. It is Men of Honor. Yeah. The film that was inspired by the true story of Master Chief Petty Officer Carl Brashear, the first African-American master diver in the United States Navy. He was an ambitious sharecropper who joins the U.S. Navy to become the world's first black master diver. But as he works through diving training, the racist Master Chief sets out to make Carl's journey as difficult as possible. In this film, which stars Cuba Gooding Jr. as Carl Brashear, in a film that a lot of people had some people like it, some people don't really like it. I've watched it. I thought it was it's okay.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I had no interest in seeing it. I have no interest in seeing it.
Because?
I just don't, and again, it's bleeding into the, I just don't have an appetite for these, we're going to prove our humanity to racist white people if we just work hard enough. Like, if we just work hard enough, they'll actually acknowledge our humanity and our patriotism. And I've never had the appetite for it. And the fact that we just elected a man who platformed a dude who actually gave a Nazi salute yesterday, I certainly don't have the appetite for it now. So
I got you.
I'll watch it when you pick it. I've seen the clips on YouTube where he has to walk in the heavy suit.
Yeah.
You are a diver. Show you're a diver. And he's all noble in black in the big heavy suit.
Yes, Cuba and all his Cubanness.
And he's noble in black. Look how noble that black man is. Well, boy, I guess you are a human being.
Okay.
All
well,
right. What's number 4?
Number 4, from 1970, is actually a made-for-television war drama that actually has been presented to us more than a few times. It is Carter's Army.
Yeah.
Or also known, when it was released on DVD, as the Black Brigade.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A redneck officer is put in charge of a squad of all black troops charged with the mission of securing an important hydro dam in Nazi Germany. Their failure would delay the Allied advance into Germany, thus prolonging the war. These African Americans had been relegated to cleaning latrines and therefore had very little military training, but Captain Bo Carter has no choice. He leads the ragtag unit to secure the dam, and the men reveal themselves as heroic. This film stars Richard Pryor, Rosie Greer, Robert Hooks, Moses Gunn, and one Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
This film is, some say that this film is worth seeing for the cast alone, because it features some of the greatest black stars of the day, especially considering that 1970 to have them all on film together.
Is Ivan Dixon in the mix somehow with this?
He may also.
Did he direct it?
Let's see. Did he direct Carter?
Yeah, why is Ivan Dixon jumping out my head with this? I know it's not Hogan's Heroes, unless it is Hogan's Heroes. That I'm thinking about Ivan Dixon with this.
I hope you're not thinking about Hogan's Heroes with this. That would be.
I mean, Ivan Dixon, World War II.
That's true.
Hogan's
this film was directed by George McGowan.
Okay.
I'm not saying Ivan Dixon attached
in connection to it. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, one of the producer of this, it was written by, of all people, Aaron Spelling
Okay.
of Charlie's Angels.
That doesn't surprise me at all. I think Aaron Spelling's pen before you just called it before Charlie's
before he
Angels
goes that
money.
route.
Yeah, I think his pen was kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Carter's Army.
Have you seen it? I've never seen it. I've never seen it. Is it good? It's a made-for-television movie. And you know what? I wanted to take a moment.
You know what? I'm going to say I don't know because I 100% saw Carter. This is 100% a movie that we got in the Blockbuster in Greenbelt, Maryland, and me and my boys watched it in the apartment.
So you don't know.
And there many
You don't know.
beer and wings involved.
You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know.
But I remember enjoying it.
You remember it being on.
I remember,
That's what you remember.
No, I remember
you
enjoying
enjoyed
it.
the night.
I did enjoy
and
the
Carter's
night.
Armor was on.
I didn't.
That's what you remember.
And appropriately enough, like I said to you about Cornbread Earl and me, a million nights started like that. Like me and my boys were sitting around and someone would say something. Yeah, Sparkle, something. You know what? I've never seen Sparkle. Oh, you've never seen Sparkle? To the car. And then you go to Blockbuster and
then Sparkle is on.
And then Sparkle is, well, we got to get some wings. Got to get some Mickeys. Mickeys, they're cheap.
That is the commercial.
That's a commercial.
All right, number three. Number three. I wanted to explain for some of our younger fans a made-for-television movie, because a lot of people don't know what made-for-television movies are.
No.
In the 70s into the 80s, the networks, and this was back when there was 3 networks.
That's 3 networks.
ABC, CBS, and NBC. And
that's right.
That was it. And maybe if you were lucky, you had PBS in your city.
Right.
But they would get first run movies that appeared in the theaters. Months later would show up in edited form on their networks. Well, they had blocks where they wanted to make movies. So they had actual feature length movies that they made, but they were just for television, which meant there was no cursing, no nudity. It was edited for commercial breaks. You wouldn't always get these big name stars. The only reason Carter's Army has Billy D. Williams and Richard Pryor because it's 1970 is before they become the household names that they will become within the movies within 2 years of this. And it actually was a thing. And as much as people cape for Carter's Army, another film that gets presented to us for review all the time is one of the greatest of made-for-television movies of all time.
And I know it's so great that people don't even know it was made for television.
That's right.
And that would be
the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman.
That's right.
Everyone thinks it was a feature-length movie. That was made for television.
That is a made-for-television film. That's right.
I know. The movie that's the movie people know Cicely Tyson from.
That's right.
So, it was a thing. So, with all that being said, though, there are some films, while made for television, have crossed over into the culture so much that I think we owe it to bring them onto the mission. One of those films is the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. I know I definitely have plans to pull that one of these months, and Carter's Army can be added to that list, and I'm sure there'll be more than a few other ones. But someone's going to write, does this open the door to the Temptations miniseries? I know it. Or Jackson's A Life.
I just said this morning, I was making a joke about Michael Jackson, and not to speak out of school, but my wife said she doesn't like to think about Michael Jackson as he got older. Just that image isn't one that she likes to think about. And I told
like the last years of
Okay. And I told her, whenever I think about Michael Jackson, I actually don't think about Michael Jackson. I think about that dude who played Michael Jackson in the Jacksons, An American Story. Like, I know what Katherine Jackson actually looks like, but in my mind, it's Angela Bassett. So yeah, yeah. We should do a month of TV stuff.
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
All right. Talk about it.
Like the sophisticated gents.
Number 3.
I thought that was number 3.
No, that was number. Carter's Army was number 4.
All right, go ahead.
Number 3. Mm-hmm. This is a film, actually a relatively recent film.
Okay.
From 2021.
Okay.
The 24th, an American historical drama co-written and directed by Kevin Wilmot that stars Trey Byers, Bashir Salahuddin, Aja Naomi King, Mo McCrae, Macality Williamson, and Thomas Hayden Church. It generally tells the story of the Houston riot of 1917. Are you familiar with that story?
Oh, no, but that's Summer and his military. Is this some Red Hot Summer stuff?
The film features an African-American military unit, the 24th Infantry Regiment in Houston, Texas. Despite their military service, the African-American soldiers are subjected to racial discrimination by the all-white police force in Houston, as well as the local white people in Houston. The constant racial discrimination leads to a riot and seizure of military weapons by the African-American military against the local population, resulting in the deaths of 11 civilians and 5 policemen. The riot and resulting violence ended with multiple soldiers from the 24th being arrested and ultimately executed for mutiny.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about that specific instance, but I do know the Red Hot Summers usually revolved around some situation with World War I vets in their uniforms, and then racists didn't like them wearing uniforms. So
yeah, I was not familiar with this film. It sounds very interesting. I'm looking forward to checking out this movie, The 24th.
Yeah.
It is not a film that I have. I mean, it's fairly recent.
I never heard of it. Mm-hmm.
It's fairly recent, but it doesn't get heralded like it. It received generally positive reviews from critics. The critical consensus on Rotten Tomatoes is that The 24th may have told its fact-based story more fully, but despite its flaws, it remains an overall compelling and woefully overdue reckoning with history.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm looking forward to checking that out. So there you have The 24th.
Okay.
All right, number 2.
Okay.
And this is a movie that I'm pretty sure we reviewed, but you'll tell me that I'm wrong.
I will.
This is from 2012, a film directed by Anthony Hemingway and stars Terrence Howard, Cuba Gooding Jr., Nate Parker, David Oyelowo, Tristan Wilds, Neo, Elijah Kelly, Leslie Odom Jr., Michael B. Jordan, Method Man, and Bryan Cranston, and was directed by Anthony Hemingway, as I mentioned, but produced by George Lucas.
Yeah.
Red Tails.
We have not talked about Red Tails.
I don't know why I thought.
Yeah, we haven't talked. And the reason I know that we haven't talked about Red Tails, I actually have never seen Red Tails.
Oh, you haven't?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, I have seen Red Tails.
Yeah. What year was it?
2012. The film was written by John Ridley, who wrote the screenplay. And there were reshoots, however, that were written by Aaron Magruder. It was filmed in March of 2009. It was a personal project for George Lucas, one that he originally conceived in 1988. It is the first Lucasfilm production since the 1994 Radioland Murders that is not associated with Indiana Jones or Star Wars. The Aaron Magruder, actually, I'm trying to find the quote that he talked about this film. He talked about some people reacted negatively to the film, but Aaron Magruder, in rebuttal, said that some people are going to be like this. Or some people are going to like the tonal choice of this movie, and some people are going to say, "Oh, it should have been heavier. It should have been more dramatic." But there's a version of this that doesn't have to be Saving Private Ryan. We can be Star Wars, as crazy as it is. That's Aaron Magruder talking about the film Red Tails, which is a film that I feel, it's It's an ambitious film. Mm-hmm. It is a gorgeous film. George Lucas is not going to do anything that is not gorgeous. Mm-hmm. And it's a film that when I saw it, I remember, oh, this is an important movie. I'm enjoying. I recognize the need for this film. This film, to let you know, is about the Tuskegee Airmen, the group of African American United States Army Air Force servicemen during World War II. The characters in the film, however, are fictional, even though they are based on real individuals. It's a film that I just feel like, even though he didn't, John Ridley wrote it, and George Lucas only produced it. I feel George Lucas' hands on it in some of the storytelling that kind of like just pulls it back from where I think it could have been. I think it could have had a little bit more teeth to it.
Okay.
But it's not a bad film.
Okay.
It's a gorgeous film. It is definitely a gorgeous film. Lisa Alexander actually is mentioning that in the chat. She writes that it is a good film. The better thing to watch, however, is George Lucas' appearance on The Daily Show, where he explains how he could not get the film made because it featured black folks.
Yeah, and he told that story several times.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I remember the sentiment was, well, damn, if George Lucas can't get something greenlit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But yes, and I'm surprised that we haven't reviewed it. That should be coming down soon. And number one. This is a film that I know we've reviewed.
Okay.
We both enjoy this film.
Okay.
And some people may not first think of this as a war movie, but it is very much a war movie. And this is from 1995, co-written, produced, and directed by the Hughes brothers.
Yeah.
The American crime film Dead President.
Yeah.
The film chronicles the life of Anthony Curtis, played by Lorenz Tate, focusing on his teenage years as a high school graduate and his experiences during the Vietnam War. And that when he returns to his hometown in the Bronx, he finds himself struggling to support himself and his family, eventually turning to a life of crime.
Yeah.
This film, which also stars Keith David, Chris Tucker, Bokeem Woodbine, Sticky Fingers, Freddie Rodriguez, and Mbouche Wright, Terrence Howard, Michael Imperioli, Martin Sheen is in this film.
Yeah, Isaiah Washington is in it. Jennifer Lewis is in it.
I mean, like,
oh yeah,
this is a film that is, and like I said,
Clifton Powell
doing Clifton Powell stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah.
This is a film that it's hard hitting. It's a film that sometimes you watch it and you're like, man, this film is still on. You know what? I'm still in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this war part is going on a little long, but you know what? I'm right there.
Yeah.
It's very visceral. And it pays off in the end. I absolutely love Dead President.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
And I think it should get more heralded for its, as much as people talk about the 4th of July, the Tom Cruise movie, I think they should be talking about Dead President.
Well, I think the problem that Dead Presidents has had in these conversations is the marketing focused so much
on the crime,
on the bank robbery at the end. But when you watch the movie, that's a fairly small part.
I know. You keep wondering, when are those scenes going to come up?
Right. And you understand them because the makeup is so evocative. But it's like maybe 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
That's right, because there's actually, I just remember, there's a fair amount of the film that's the after the robbery.
Arguably, in real time, I think that's Lorenz Tate's best performance.
You're probably right.
Like, I think he shows more range in that movie.
You're right.
Like, we all love him in Love Jones. He's just super charming. But as an actor,
yeah. And I think that film also reveals the path, for whatever reason, not chosen for Chris Tucker.
Yeah.
because I think Chris Tucker is absolutely amazing.
I think that's. I don't even think that's controversial. That's his best acting.
Oh,
role.
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. All right. That's the top 5.
All right,
folks. Hope you enjoyed that. It is now time for the Game of Kings, or as we like to call it, 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin. Six Degrees of D'Urville Martin, where I choose 2 actors and Vincent has 6 films or less to connect them to another national treasure. A man who fights a never-ending battle with himself.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
D'Urville Martin.
Oh, yeah.
Vincent, keeping it in theme, we are pulling 2 actors out of Miracle at St. Anna, the film that we're going to be reviewing tonight. So therefore, you cannot use Miracle at St. Anna to connect them to D'Urville Martin.
Okay.
All right?
Fair enough.
Starting with number 1.
Number 1.
In 6 films or less, connect D'Urville Martin to Walton Goggins.
Walton Goggins, the great Walton Goggins. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Been more than a few TV series, but has appeared in films.
Sure. I won't use Miracle at St. Anna, but I will use somebody who was in Miracle at St. Anna. It was also in this. So D'Urville Martin. Here you go. I also use Spike Lee. I'll keep it in. So D'Urville Martin is in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with Sidney Poitier. Mm-hmm. Sidney Poitier is in Paris Blues with Diane Carroll.
Mm-hmm. Which is streaming on TCM right now.
Very nice. Diane Carroll is in The Split with Jim Brown. Mm-hmm. Jim Brown is in She Hate Me with Kerry Washington.
Ah, nice.
And Kerry Washington is in, of course, Django Unchained with Walton Goggins.
Very good, Vincent. Very good. I should have known you'd get to one of your favorite movies.
Yeah, look. I mean, the only thing I know Walton Goggins in the movies is that in Hateful Eight, off the top of my head. The movies.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. He also is in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
He sure is.
He's in Tomb Raider.
Oh, well, I don't remember.
He's in Machete Kills, G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Oh, my God. I never saw either one of those.
He's in Lincoln, Straw Dogs, Cowboys and Aliens, Predators.
He sure is in Predators, which is not bad. As much as people kind of didn't like Predators, I enjoyed Predators.
Okay.
Which I could have used Cornbread Earl and me and use Lawrence Fishburne. But okay, yeah, Walter Goggins. One of my faves. Yeah. One of my faves.
I know that.
One of my faves.
All right.
Number
2, keeping it in theme, in 6 films or less. Mm-hmm. Without using Miracle at St. Anna. Connect D'Urville Martin to Omari Hardwick.
Omari Hardwick.
Mm-hmm.
I only got 2 things I'm thinking about him. All right. What do I want to use? Because I could do Sorry to Bother You. But you know what? I think I'll talk about him, and I think my favorite performance by him, which it's a small list because I don't think about him that much as, in stuff. You start getting that power money, and I don't know how much use.
And admittedly, he is in this film for very fleeting.
Right. And then I always see him in the meme for Color Girls, where Jan Jess says, somebody bending you over or you doing the bending, which is just terrible. But my favorite performance of his. They say, I want to get it. All right, so.
Oh, I thought you were saying it's just terrible, but it's my favorite performance.
No. My favorite performance, and I'm gonna use my girl. I'm so happy that she's got a job. I've never watched her show, but I love her so much. So D'Urville Martin. All right, so D'Urville Martin is in. Because I gotta get to. All right. D'Urville Martin is in the final come down with stop at Lisa Alexander, because that's what I'm using. D'Urville Martin is in the final come down with Billy D. Williams. Billy D. Williams is in, let's say, Lady Sings the Blues with Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor is in Which Way Is Up with Margaret Avery. I'm sorry. Yeah, with Margaret Avery. Margaret Avery, I might be being too cute. Because Margaret Avery, no, yes, I'm just make it. Margaret Avery's in The Color Purple with Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey, oh no, I'm going to run out. I'm being too cute. And I was trying not to use 5 on the black hand side, but I got to get to old girl quicker. Okay, D'Urville Martin, 5 on the black hand side, Dick Anthony Williams, Mo Better Blues, Denzel. Denzel is in Devil in a Blue Dress with Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle is in Miles Ahead with, I'm not looking at her name, so I can never pronounce her name. Emiji.
I know who you're talking about.
Pull it up so we say her name.
I'll pull it up.
Oh, right.
You say
her name.
I don't know if I'll still be able to
Go
say
ahead.
her name.
Just sound it out, because it just sounded out.
I got to pull it up. EMJ, I think her name is.
She's in that lawyer show with, what's his name now?
Yeah.
I think it's called like Beautiful Black People Lawyers. It's like her and Morris Chestnut be trying to out-brown each other. They just be trying to out-brown. Like you can smell the cocoa butter just looking at the screen, both of them on there.
Hold on, I got it. It would be... oh, boy. Imayache Corinaldi. Corinaldi.
Rafonso.
I'm sorry if I apologize. For,
well, Don Cheadle.
Your voice. Your name.
Don Cheadle is in that. Is in Miles Ahead with her, and then she's in Middle of Nowhere with Amari Hardwick.
Very good.
Which I liked his performance a great deal.
Emma Yahtzee.
Emma Yahtzee.
Thanks you, Miss Makiba.
Yeah, Emma
Miss
Yahtzee.
Makiba for the win.
Yeah, Emma Yahtzee is in that in Middle of Nowhere.
Yes.
Omari Hardwick, which is my favorite Omari Hardwick role.
Performance, yes. Yes. And it's a favorite of the Micheaux, even though we cannot say the lead actress' name. Emma Yahtzee. Emma Yahtzee. Now I need a phonetic on her last name, Corinaldi.
Yeah.
I believe that is it. But very good, Vincent. Very good. Well done.
All right.
Well done. All right. That is 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin. It is now time for our review of Miracle at St. Anna.
It's 8 o'clock. We just on the review. That's what I'm talking about.
Miracle at St. Anna is a 2008 American-Italian epic war film directed by Spike Lee, written by James McBride, based on McBride's 2003 novel of the same name. The film stars Derek Luke, Michael Eli, Lance Alonso, Omar Benson Miller, Pier Francesco Venino, and Valentino Cerve, with John Turturro, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, John Leguizamo, D.B. Sweeney, and Kerry Washington in supporting roles. Set primarily in Italy during the Italian Civil War in World War II, this film tells the story of 4 Buffalo soldiers of the 92nd Infantry Division who seek refuge in a small Tuscan village where they form a bond with the residents. The story is presented as a flashback as one survivor, Hector Negron, played by Alonso, reflects upon his experiences in a frame story that is set in the 80s. There are real-life events that occurred during the war that are recreated in this film, such as the Sant'Anna di Statisma massacre, placing Miracle at St. Anna within the genre of historical fiction. This was Vincent's selection for tonight's stop on the Micheaux mission. Vincent, what say you of Miracle at St. Anna?
Well, before tonight, Miracle at St. Anna had the distinction of being the only Spike Lee film that I've never seen.
Ooh, wow.
This was my first time watching it, and frankly, I had no plans of choosing it anytime soon here on the mission. But when you and I talked about this month and you chose the 688, I said, well, there's a good opportunity for me to go ahead and watch it. Mm-hmm. And I hesitated to watch it for a few reasons. We've talked about Spike Lee's my favorite director. Mm-hmm. And I think he is my favorite director. And there was I very intentionally did not watch this film. First, generally, this is a film that came out in 2008. Mm-hmm. So at this point, Spike Lee was a well-regarded, dare I say, already an iconic director.
Absolutely.
By 2008.
Absolutely.
And I am always wary of these later projects by these legendary directors.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm listening to a podcast about something like that.
Because more times than not, they tend to run more towards indulgence. Mm-hmm. And as we were kind of talking a little bit last week, appropriately enough, about someone like how did I just forget his famous cinematographer?
Oh, Ernest Dickerson.
Ernest Dickerson, and how much Ernest Dickerson was contributed to Spike Lee's earlier work. But, whether we're talking about Ernest Dickerson, whether we're talking about Ruth Carter and the costuming, whether we're talking about, his father, Bill Lee, and the work that he did with the score and all, films are collaborative. And, as people who kind of go with the auteur kind of read of these movies, the director gets the credit, but they are collaborative, and just the nature of a business, as time goes on, that team dissipates.
Yes.
So it's not the same team, A.
Right.
B, the collaboration isn't as collaborative because the director has gotten so big that no one really checks on them. Mm-hmm. So,
especially as the people that were there for the formative
right now, new people have come in, and whether we're talking about I think the one that pops up the most is Spike Lee's contemporary, someone like Martin Scorsese, where you see these films and they're just unwieldy in big.
His
latest films.
Yeah.
And we've talked about some of Spike Lee's later work, and a lot of times they fall under this. I knew that this film was 2 hours and 40 minutes, so I said, okay, I see what this is going to be. More pointedly, this is a film that came out during that period when Spike Lee had gotten into that pissing contest with Clint Eastwood. And he and Clint Eastwood exchanged words about the depiction or lack thereof of black soldiers in World War II. And while it was directed towards Clint Eastwood, I think he was also talking about, where they're talking about Ron Howard and Tom Hanks and sort of the late 90s moving into the early 21st century is when we really started this pop culture mythology of the greatest generation. So, you're talking about Band of Brothers, Saving Private Ryan, Clint Eastwood specifically was making a film about Iwo Jima.
Yeah.
And Spike Lee, justifiably so, talked about how this mythology around World War II left out all of the black soldiers. And I 100% get that. And you and I have talked before. I have very, very, very little patience for any of the mythologizing of the greatest generation. Because 2A1, these white soldiers who fought the Nazis and saved democracy and blah, 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 came back to America and either actively or passively enacted segregation for 30 years. So, you'll excuse me if I'm not that fond of Tom Hanks' character when he comes home and lived in a neighborhood that my people couldn't move into, and so on and so forth. So I understand that. The problem is that this lack of restraint, coupled with, justifiable or not, Spike Lee's anger kind of leading what he's doing, you get almost a temper tantrum. It's just this temper tantrum that you see on screen. What exacerbates that is this is based on James McBride's novel,
Yes,
of the same name, about these same events. And as you said, you named one of the plots where these 4 black soldiers find themselves behind enemy lines in St. Anna and have to get out. But James McBride also wrote the script, but he's not a script writer.
Right.
This is his first script writer. And this very much is the script written by someone who, A, doesn't have any experience writing a script, B, is writing a script based on his own work.
Yep.
So he doesn't want to leave anything out.
This is my baby.
And it's just a big honking mess of a film. As you said, the sort of main plot, if you will, is about these 4 soldiers. As you said, there's Laz Alonso, but you have Derek Luke as a staff sergeant, Michael Ealy as Sergeant Bishop Cummings, and Omar Miller as Private First Class, caught behind enemy lines. They've rescued a young boy, and that's one plot.
Yes.
But this is a plot that is embedded in another story set in 1983, where the surviving member, Laz Alonso's Hector, murders a man in the opening scenes. And now the sense is the movie's going to be about why he murdered the man, where this gets you. But then back in the plot, there are Italian partisans, Italian, basically rebels.
The resistance.
The resistance. And there's a man referred to as the Iron Butterfly, and we have him. Plus also, there's a German soldier who was AWOL, and he's trying to get through all this.
Plus
also, in addition, Michael Ealy's Bishop and Derek Luke's Stamps are sort of vying for the affection of an Italian woman who's there. In addition to all of this, Walton Goggins plays a racist officer who's also incompetent. And he's trying to, the black soldiers are trying to get around him, including, frankly, 2 or 3 black soldiers that are directly under his command who have their own back and forth with him. Additionally, there is the command who you have the general who is racist, but then his immediate subordinate feels like he can trust the soldiers. Consequently, and pulling back out into the 80s, Laz Alonso's character Hector has a mysterious statue head that has been missing since World War II, and we're trying to figure out where that comes from. And then, just as the film ends, Kerry Washington plays a mysterious high-powered attorney who shows up.
All of a sudden, she comes out from the set of Scandal.
Almost literally from the set of Scandal.
And you didn't touch on
What did I miss?
the sympathetic German colonel
Oh,
who's weary
then there's
of
the
war.
weary colonel, not to be confused with the
Nazi
German, the AWOL German soldier. So it's just a mess of a film. It's just 2 hours and 40 minutes, and you can tell the guardrails that you need for a film just aren't there. Spike Lee has this unfettered power.
Right.
James McBride's screenplay, he doesn't want to kill his baby and cut out some of this plot. And ultimately, just as a film, I found it was neither fish nor fowl. Like I think it was way too long.
Yes.
For a war film, like just a war film. And again, you get the sense that Spike Lee, again, he has this chip on his shoulder. He wants to depict these black soldiers. He wants to talk about, all of the complications and complexity of being a black soldier in World War II. And there are moments where there are hints of the challenges that they discuss in A Soldier's Story. But at the same time, done properly, it's too short, because what you really needed is something similar to A Band of Brothers.
Yes.
Where I think in a mini-series format, you could have spent, oh my goodness, we didn't even mention John Leguizamo, who's the black market art dealer.
Yeah, he's in
who's in one scene, and then that never comes out anything. But you can tell there's enough story in McBride's novel that this could have been a miniseries. So that, it's just a mess. Look, it's Spike Lee, so there are certainly moments in here that I thought, okay, I kind of like there's, I thought the battle scenes, some critics didn't like the way that the battles and the battle scenes were depicted. I disagreed. I thought it did a great job showing what I would think is the chaos. Like one of the things that I don't like about a lot of war films, and something I think Private Ryan did well in the opening scene that everyone, Saving Private Ryan, that everyone celebrates, is it just seems to me, as someone who's never been in a war, it would just be sheer chaos.
Yes.
Just sheer chaos. And I do think that the sheer chaos and the brutality of what happens, you get a sense of that. There's a moment in here where they really do kind of burrow down. The film burrows down on the hypocrisy of what black soldiers had to deal with. There's a moment in a soda shop.
Yes.
That is a great moment. Quite honestly, I thought Omar Miller's tank, train kind of, is this sort of simple big soldier. I kind of went back and forth with him, but I have to say by the end, he had won me over.
Yeah.
I really like Derek Luke.
Yes.
I really like Laz Alonso in this.
Yes.
This may have been my favorite Michael Ealy performance.
Yes.
Like, I really like Michael Ealy. And this is a 2 hour and 40-minute film that I think a solid hour of it you could do something with. But in the format that it is right now, I think my instincts were dead on to avoid this all these years.
Yeah, I think that I watched this when it first came out. I remember wanting to like it because, yes, Spike Lee has no guardrails on here, which makes sense because, this is a co-production, is a co-American and Italian production. And the Italian people that are involved in this, rightfully so, are in awe of Spike Lee. So when Spike Lee says he wants to do this movie, and they're like, and he wants to film it on location in Italy, in some of the same places where a lot of these battles take place, they're like, yes, and we're getting Spike Lee to do it? Oh my God, yes, please, whatever you need, sir. And to that point, this is a gorgeous film. I think it is very well.
I thought it could have been lit better.
You know what?
It's very dark.
Yeah, but you know what? I didn't mind that. I guess I didn't mind that because that lent to it a little bit of that realism that people herald Saving Private Ryan for, that they herald about Band of Brothers. This had that as well, yet it had the trappings and some of the Spike Lee-isms that he brings to a movie as well, but it still had that look. Okay. So I didn't mind it. So I thought the film looked gorgeous. I too, just like you, liked all of the performances. I like Derek Luke. I'm not necessarily a big Michael Ealy fan, but I liked him in this film. I like Laz Alonso, Benson Miller, Walton Goggins, of course. Let's give some props to the Italian members of this cast as well. You spoke of her. That would be the lead Valentina Cervi.
Sure, she was good.
She was very good.
Yeah, she was good.
Pier Francisco Favino was good. And then everyone else there are names, but they're just, doing Spike a solid. John Turturro, John Leguizamo. John Leguizamo, I think, really just did the scene because he does one scene and is with a woman, and the woman is not but just about nude in the scene. Yeah. So John said, "That's my scene." Okay, sure. Yeah. I got you. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is giving a cup of coffee in this film. Kerry Washington, like you said, you've got 15 minutes while I walk over from the commissary, right? The film with the one scene that looks like it probably is on a stage set, right? So,
and I didn't mention John Turturro because he broke my heart. Because John Turturro as world-weary New York detective,
oh my God,
1983,
Harlem,
and then he walks out of the movie.
I'm like, come back.
I'm like, can we stay here? Can we stay with world-weary detective in 1983?
Well, you know what? But that's the other thing about this film. You're talking about how this film is too long. The World War II stuff is a flashback.
Yes.
Which makes up the bulk of the film. it takes you about 20 minutes to get to it.
It's 15 minutes. It's
like
right at the 15 mark.
Like 15-minute mark.
Yeah.
And you don't need a lot of that. You stop at Alonzo's character Hector shooting the guy in the bank, and then you cut to the flashback.
Right.
Even though quiet is kept, you don't really need any of that. You don't really. You could really just bring it.
There's a version of this film that takes place in 1983.
that it's all in 1983.
All in 1983.
And maybe you need that. See, but that version is an episode of Law and Order.
Right.
So that's the problem.
Or like True Detective. It's a season of True Detective.
It's a season of True Detective. You're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there is a lot to enjoy about this movie, but it's just so much. There's so many balls in the air, and to be honest, the opening mystery of him of Hector shooting this person in the bank, I don't even think they handled the reveal of how, who this guy is. I don't think they really play fair with that. You're about 2 hours into the movie before you really get a sense of who that is.
We were kids in 1983, so I don't remember. I just feel like in 1983, if an old European dude gets murdered mysteriously, and certainly by a soldier, I just assume it's some Nazi stuff.
Right?
I just assume he's a Nazi.
Right?
Like 1983, old white guy gets shot. Oh, well, I mean, clearly this is some World War II Nazi leftover stuff. Like, so as soon as they said, oh, he was in the army, he got the Purple Heart. Oh, he was in Italy for a little while. It's like, okay, well, clearly this isn't a mystery.
Yeah.
We just gonna talk about what happened. So
yeah, it's just so unwieldy, and you're right. This plays into what becomes an issue with Spike at around this time and in the films since then, and not all the films, but
Sure.
but more than a few of the films. We talked about The Five Bloods, his Netflix film, where he had no guardrails.
Right. But I think he does better with that than this.
I think he does, but that's because I think that also works because it's more of a linear story.
Right.
I think what the issue in here is, like you said, unfortunately, James McBride, who has written a good book. The movie looks like it's a
fascinating story.
A very fascinating story, but it just doesn't work. It doesn't work, and I don't think as much as I know you herald Spike as a director, and I do too. But for the most part, he's not someone who I have seen in his films play around with jumping through times. We're gonna go forward and now we're gonna go back and things like that. And the things that you have to do when you're doing that on a production to kind of like give the audience a little bit of clues. Like, yeah, you can have some text on the screen, but usually there's some kind of like context clues that you can see where we're going so that you can keep the story straight of what is happening. And I think that is also another failing of his in this film, in that you kind of lose track of some of these the story.
Well, I think, again, I don't want to keep circling back to the screenplay. Like, there's at one point, the character is the character who ends up being the quote unquote Iron Butterfly, who is telling a story about how they're looking for him.
Yes,
and when they actually depict the actual slaughter, the massacre at St. Anna, but you realize he's telling a story about someone telling him
what happened
about the massacre. So what I had is you actually are now. So we are now, if the big narrative is an embedded story, you've got this framing device. So technically, the whole movie is an embedded story.
Right.
It's a flashback.
Right.
But now within the flashback, there's another flashback. So now we're 2 layers deep. It's almost an Inception level thing going on.
And it's not even really a flashback because, like you said, it's third-party information.
Right. So how do you can't keep up with all of this.
And I think and it's a shame because of how fascinating the
And you're saying it's third party because now there's actually information in Dom, the character's name is Dom, in Dom's flashback, there's information that he wouldn't know, which is the one person is
the traitor.
Is a traitor. But
it's revealed in that.
It's revealed in his flashback.
Right.
So he shouldn't know that.
Right. And then they try and play that off in another scene where he has now figured out who the traitor is.
Right. But he told us as the viewer.
It's
you know, the end, there's not the end, well, the end of the flashback, where then it gets a little it's a little magic realism where the ghost of one boy leads the other boy away.
I didn't mind that part so much. The only reason I didn't mind that part so much is because the film, the young boy Angelo who they save, you know, he is basically throughout the film you see him talking slightly off camera to someone who's not there, named Arturo. Right. And they keep that conceit up for a lot of the film.
Right.
So that when at the end, spoiler alert, Arturo shows up in spirit form, I got it, and I didn't actually mind it so that much. But to your point, that points to the other thing that people talk about in this film is how the tone is all over the place.
Right.
Because
and that's what I was about to say. You can't, like, I hear you talking about the foreshadowing of him talking to this Arturo that no one can see. But then he showed, like, you can't have magic realism in the last 5 minutes. Of a 2-hour and 40-minute film.
Yeah.
So much so that in the actual conclusion in 1983, where Laz Alonso was on the beach in all white clothing, and a mysterious man shows up who's never been in the film, the whole film, and now he's in all white, and then Laz Alonso actually lampshades it and says, "Am I in heaven? Am I dead?" And I'm thinking, well, maybe he's dead.
Yeah.
But no, he's not dead. He's just on the beach.
Yeah, because maybe he's dead because the scene prior to that, he was just in court.
And getting bail.
Right. So now all of a sudden he's on the beach with
Kerry Washington, who came out of nowhere.
That has no name.
Like, the end, I think, unravels completely.
Yes. Yeah. It's
and again, I think we talked about this a bit with the top 5. I just do not understand at this point, even in 2008. Again, I understood Spike Lee's ire about this, but this sentiment of, we have to prove ourselves. We have to prove that we're again, I felt like, frankly, perhaps unfairly, the primary audience for this film was Clint Eastwood and Tom Hanks and Ron Howard and all of the people who kind of put forward this, again, mythology of the greatest generation, you know, Ken Burns, whoever. And that is something philosophically that I just disagree with Spike Lee and a lot of people, like this sense that we have to prove ourselves to this white audience, that we have to show that we belong, that we have to, and again, as much as I love Spike Lee, the credit that I always give Tyler Perry, even with the film last week, I don't think Tyler Perry gives a damn about this other audience. Like, I'm making this, and we said it last week when we said the kids should see this, people see, like, I am making this story, I'm presenting this story that is untold about this group of black women. As Maurice said in the letters, you always get the sense that Tyler Perry's primary audience, frankly, is black women and black people. And I'm always going to champion that. Like, I'm always going to support that. And, you know, whether it's something like this, whether it is, and look, everybody likes to have their hard work acknowledged. Like, you know, I love to have my hard work acknowledged. I love when people acknowledge our hard work. But, you know, it's like, you know, I feel like Spike Lee was, you know, chasing after the Oscar and everything with the Oscar. And, you know, me, appropriately enough, since Driving Miss Daisy and Do the Right Thing, I don't give a damn what the Oscars say, because clearly this is not an objective barometer of taste.
Right.
You know what this is. Like they're gonna give an Oscar to Driving Miss Daisy, and then they're gonna give it to The Help, then they're gonna give it to The Green Book. Yeah. I'm sure in the next 2-3 years they're gonna get an Oscar to some nonsense. So as a black creative, you can't get caught in these weeds. And I do think sometimes my beloved Spike Lee gets caught in those weeds of trying to prove his worth and prove that I'm as good as the rest of them, and prove, and it's like, dog, you're Spike Lee. You ain't got to prove nothing to nobody.
No, he doesn't. I got the sense from this film that he was actually, you know, I think all of what you're saying is true, but I think he also was trying to, you know, tick a list and do his great World War II movie, but through the lens of, like, thinking like this story allowed him the opportunity to do it through a Spike Lee type of lens. And I think that in doing so, in going for it, I applaud him going for it. But I just don't think he sticks the landing. But with that being said, would you recommend that people see Miracle at St. Anna?
Unfortunately, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I don't think the return on investment is worth it. I think there are good pieces in here. I think there are good moments in here. I love the costuming. I love the costuming so much that I actually thought maybe Ruth Carter was involved, which is the biggest compliment that I can give to the costumer, who is, let me look up their name real quick. I just had it, and then I lost it. But while I'm looking that up, again, I think there are really solid performances in here. I actually like Michael Ealy. I do think oftentimes Michael Ealy leans on being good looking, and I don't know if that's because of him or that's because of the roles that he gets. But I think Michael Ealy is actually a nice actor. And this is one of the few films that I've seen him in where he's acting. And so I like that a lot. But it doesn't, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes is not justifiable at all.
Yeah.
And you?
No, I wouldn't recommend Miracle at St. Anna. Like you said, there are some good performances in the film, but it's just a little bit too much. And I'm sad to do that because I am a fan of war movies, good ones. And I think that there is something here. It's from 2008. This is a story I would be interested in seeing being revisited, and maybe in a few years on streaming.
Look, again, I wouldn't mind Spike Lee getting another at bat with this, but have it as a miniseries.
Well, I meant streaming as a series.
Yeah.
I don't know necessarily if I need to see Spike behind the helm, maybe as a producer or something like that. But
Carlo Pagolio.
Oh, that's
and I may be mispronouncing his name. Did the costumes?
Very good.
Yeah,
very good. It sounds like he's probably part of the Italian production part of this film. And excellent work. Like I said, it's a beautiful film. I want to recommend it, but I just can't land there.
Yeah,
I can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But check it out for yourself. Miracle at St. Anna. People, and let us know what you think. You can email us at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's MICHEAUXMISSION@gmail.com. Before we tell you what we're going to be reviewing next week, I invite you to find the Micheaux Mission on the social media of your choice, whether it be Instagram or Facebook at Micheaux Mission, and become a fan. You can also follow the Micheaux Mission on YouTube at Micheaux Mission. Hit the bell, subscribe, and be notified of when we go live or when we put up all of our new videos. The Micheaux Mission is also available as a podcast for all you audiophiles on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any place that you find audio podcasts. We actually post twice a week on our feed. Tuesdays, tonight, we post mission logs, the best of the Micheaux Mission. We are in the beginning of the Micheaux Mystic Connection. Today's episode that went up, Vincent, is actually part 1 of our first visit with Simone Missick.
Oh, yeah.
Took place in Brooklyn, New York. That was a great time. We were there to review Coming to America, and it was supposed to be an hour, and 3 hours later,
good time.
We had a really great time. So part 1 of that is available on the audio podcast feed right now.
Say it publicly. Simone, we're holding Coming to America for you, by the way.
Yes.
So we're just holding it.
We're holding it.
Just holding it.
She is a very, very busy woman.
Very busy woman.
But we are holding that. We are
holding it.
We're holding off on that. So
we can have the bookends.
Yes. So we will make it so.
Yes.
All right. The Micheaux Mission is also a proud member of The Podglomerate. ThePodglomerate.com. They make podcasts work, such as ours, which streams every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. live here from Young Chunk, Philadelphia's premier video podcast palace. If you want to book yourself and your podcast in one of the lovely studios here, you can email our producer, Dylan, at youngchunk.com. That's DYLAN at youngchunk.com. Next week, here on the Micheaux Mission, we have a very special guest who will be joining us live in studio. You have heard me mention that I do work as a podcast, the lead podcast producer.
That's right.
For Push Black, the nation's leading nonprofit black media company. I produce the podcast, The Black History Year, which is hosted by one Darren Wallace, who was the chief content strategist for Black History Year. Well, Darren, or D, as we call him in Push Black World, will be here live in studio as our guest next week on the Micheaux Mission. He is coming up from Louisiana.
Nice.
To be in studio to review his selection, a film titled Bacurau.
That's right.
I know nothing of this film.
I know. Looking forward to it.
I love that.
I know.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That is what we're going to be reviewing next week here on the Micheaux Mission. Until then, he's Vincent, I'm Len, and in parting we say,
we'll see you when it's time to meet again.